4, 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi everybody, welcome to Untapped. My name is Maureen, the even the queen, the even the princess, whichever one you prefer. I'm not chilling alone. I'm chilling with the one and only. Run it up.
Mash D.
How you doing, Mesh?
I'm fresh and I'm fresh and I'm fresh. Just get fresher. You know?
What's going on? What's the temperature?
Yeah, you know, the diamonds in production, glow brighter in the pressure.
Let him know. Let him know. Let him
Yeah.
know. Welcome to another episode. If you're new here, please like, subscribe. Hit us up on the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're tapped into, so we can tap into that as well. But let's kick it off. Mesh, what have you been tapped into?
Quite a bit. Light notes, high notes. Wait,
Okay,
should I start on the lighter note? Should I start on
Start on the lights, and then we can
the light is like I was driving here and there's like a lot of albums, hip hop albums I haven't listened to. Listening to the Eminem album. A song that came up was Fuel with JID, right? And he said something like, I'm an RAPER. He said something like, I'm an RAPER, write so many essays. Did he just say rapper without the P?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yes. I think it has been a trend on TikTok. Somebody broke that down as well.
Oh, shit. I was like, because someone did say there's a subliminal.
Yeah.
But then I was like, bruh,
Yeah.
Eminem
And
is, you know, with the veterans, like your Nas, your Eminems, like Lil Wayne, you forget that these guys are so much better than all these new cats, right?
There's a reason
And then
why.
every time they drop, they remind you that, hey, I'm a Lupe Fiasco, I'm a Yasin Bey, you
There's
know?
a reason why
I'm a
he's a
Talib
rap
Kweli,
god.
I'm a Common.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Common, he dropped something that you sent to me. I listened to it once or twice, probably when I was driving. But I feel like I haven't gotten the time to actually just like listen to it and give it like the energy it deserves, because he was saying a lot, you know?
One of my friends actually said that's the hip hop album of the year. I was like, okay, bit of a stretch. A lot of good hip hop albums dropped this year.
Yeah. There was a song
Do you have a hip hop
liked.
album of the year so far?
Yeah. No. I think I have it, but I haven't listened to the Reese album, which is another one that I've downloaded and I've
The
just
Reese
kept,
album I've listened to. Whoa,
which I've kept at the back.
KTK.
So
like the briefing there.
So I'm keeping like my ratings until I've kind of listened to that one, because I know it's probably going to be something. So yeah.
Okay.
What else, my G?
So have you ever heard of the Polymarket?
No.
So the Polymarket is like a decentralized market platform, right? Where people can bet on world events.
I am starting to get where you're going, and I feel like I don't like it, but continue.
US elections. That's where I'm going. So I've been checking out the news, right? And on the news, Kamala's winning, you know? And it's giving what was happening in 2016 with Hillary, where it's like there's a narrative that's trying to be pushed, but it's clear that Trump is going to win by quite a landslide, right? So the reason why the poly markets are so relevant in this context for me is because there's actual money involved. People are betting on the outcome of the elections with actual money. And on the poly market, right, Trump is winning. That's the only place.
You see.
Like the polls on the news, Trump is losing. But the poly market where actual money is involved, right, Trump is winning. I think there's about 1.6 billion sitting on that alone. So it speaks to like the level of interest that people have in the outcome of like the election. So that was quite significant for me. And then like I came across something that was also quite conspiratorial, like the fact that the Democrats, so Biden, Kamala, are funding Israel so much now, is that it's a mess when Trump comes in. So it's like an irreparable type mess. I was like, okay, you can't really deny it because they are like arming
Doing
Israel.
it.
But is it for that reason, or like, do they know that they're gonna lose, or do they actually believe that they're gonna win?
Sure, that is hectic. But I feel like just the concept of betting on like world events and stuff, it's so. I think people have always been doing it because that's why people are interested in the markets and kind of like understanding what I mean in the world so that they can determine the markets are pulling this way, that way, which way to go, whatever. But I feel like it is there is this kind of unregulated space that is emerging. Maybe it's already emerged in such a way that even if you like or you control the regulated stuff. So if you control the news, you control the polls, you control all these things. The unregulated space will let you know what all this regulated stuff is trying to hide from you. Like what you're saying about Kamala and Trump, right? It's like the regulated space, the news, the polls that are run by certain organizations and stuff, they are showing a certain narrative. But the unregulated space is like, we want this. You can't even hide it because it's not regulated in the same way. I feel like it's even with like, even I'm gonna take it back to like artists and stuff. Like there are artists that are under labels and they are pushed in, like they're everywhere. There's no way you could miss those artists. But then there's always that artist that comes from nowhere and people are like, we want this. And you can't.
There's this artist, man, that came up recently, and I was like, that guy is such a clear industry plant. I can't remember his name.
Is it South African?
No, he's from the States, man. But like that guy, I'll just pop up his name. But like that guy is like the reason why I was saying he's such an industry plant is because he on my Apple Music, right? When I went to the artist, like there was a song I was interested in, and at the time he only had 3 songs out. It was before he dropped his debut album, and in the similar artist section, you had Drake, you had Kanye, you had Chance the Rapper, you had like all
People
these. Yeah, and it's like, nah, dude.
Where do
like
you
this guy
go?
has 3 songs. When I go on an H&M profile, he's being compared to Rachakil and Misophil. It's not fair.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
Sorry, it's not fair. And still on the same sort of topic, right? I was thinking about how, like the Cole drop, Port Antonio. See, I don't want to go into the intricacies of the beef.
Okay.
Maybe like you can touch on it a bit, but I don't want to go into the beef per se. But like the Port Antonio drop, the Watch the Party Die drop, Kendrick.
Oh yes, Kendrick.
And then Drake's website drop, the 100 gig for your head top, I think is what it's called, where he launched a website, dropped 3 songs and like unreleased footage from like tours and studio. I was thinking about that, Chi, and the fact that all of those recent drops haven't been on like your streaming
platforms.
So I'm trying to think of what is actually happening in the background. Like back to the conversation I was having about Yasin Bey not selling his music on streaming platforms, right? Or not having it there anymore for years. Or is it a move? Because most of these artists are like independent now, you know? Is it a move away from? Because these are the biggest, I mean, outside of perhaps Tyler, the Creator, these are the guys that are getting the streams.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting, and we touched on it the last time, and we're talking about Taylor Swift busy fighting the system, and we're like, we were sort like, at least me, I was leaning towards like, these guys are actually feeding the same system that they say they don't want to be part of. But then now it does seem like there's a whole direction that they're taking it's kind of contrary to what we were thinking that they were not doing. Like they're not fighting the system as they should. So I guess I'm interested to see what comes out of it, because if the main guys are like deviating from like the mainstream, that means that like even the indie guys can also try and do it, because it has been a lot of the indie guys that were trying platforms that were not as mainstream. Like if you think about what's the SoundCloud when it came out? It was like for people that couldn't make it on the majors, right? And then you sort of became like a SoundCloud rapper, and some SoundCloud rapper ended up being like the most famous rappers, and then
Your
SoundCloud,
Mac Millers, were like,
Juice WRLD, all those people, they started from there.
As later, but I mean, like the SoundCloud rapper era was like the
SoundCloud
blog.
Una.
SoundCloud Una.
SoundCloud
Pink
Una.
Moon. You know, that era, like, was...
Ankas. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Intergalactic. What?
He, like...
What?
I hate to say it, but he can't top that. I'm sure he knows that too.
I don't know though, man. I don't know, bruh. Like, hold me when it's cold. Hold me when... I mean, those are two...
It's not Pink Moon level for me. Like, Pink Moon is like...
Mesh, no.
Me. I'm talking about me.
Wait.
For me, Pink Moon, he hasn't topped it. He hasn't topped it.
These are two different genres, if we're really being like...
No, but I'm talking about the individual. I'm not saying what he's doing is not good. I'm just saying, like, he went alien on Pink Moon.
Oh, Pink Moon. Okay, but like,
And no, that's not to say Una doesn't have like a great discography.
I love both, like Pink Moon Una and R&B.
No,
Una.
I love both as well. I love both as well. I'm just saying Pink Moon Una's better.
I can't say Pink Moon Una is. I love SoundCloud Una, and like I'm like yeah.
I get you. It's fine.
But also I can't really say the Hold Me When It's Cold and the R&B vibe and the it's not what I like.
Yeah, do you know what I like about
ways.
the modern day Una is the different characters. That's so Pisces of him.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's like I like that. I like Una, the different... There are some characters I don't like, some characters I like.
The shiny stuff, the like, daddy, like sexy, I don't know. Like, I think somebody was interviewing him.
Samsonic.
Yeah, someone was interviewing him and he was like he made, like the new stuff is like the older him. He's tapping into like the older him who's more like sensual and like, and I like that too.
I don't think that's possible.
I can't, what do you mean?
Like, I can't tap into my older me. You can't tap into
No, but he
the
was
older
saying
you.
he's older now. So like he's tapping into that.
Oh, that version of him.
That
I thought
version
you
of
meant
himself.
the older him.
No.
The
Okay,
past,
so
yeah.
Not that. Like just like the new version of
the
himself.
evolved.
The
Yeah,
evolved
that's
version
amazing.
Of himself.
That's amazing.
And you can see it. And I like it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I can't really like... I mean, I love both.
And for me, I hate comparisons, right? Yeah, but like Pink Moon is just like one of those really special albums.
Which one was it? There's SoundCloud Una, bruh. There's another song called Essay. I think it had Espacio Dios or something like that.
SoundCloud Una is like, Girls Like You.
Yeah.
SoundCloud.
Ankas. No one should listen to
Ankas. With
Ankas.
Tondi.
Oh, baby. Anyway. What else have you been tapped into, sir?
Tesla's We Robot event.
Okay.
Welcome to the We Robot Party. So you'll see Model Ys and the Cyber Cab, all driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the Cyber Cab. There's no steering wheel or pedals. I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of Cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one. We expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably Well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes. But in 2026. So, yeah. Before 2027, let me put it that way. So the robotaxi has no plug. It just goes over the inductive charger and charges. Also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city, or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is gonna, the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, I don't know, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can use the Robovan. So everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. So the same techniques, it's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks. Whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
Okay.
So yeah, that like goes back to like what we've been saying about AI and disrupting jobs. So there was Optimus, they launched a few years ago on their AI day, but it's improved. So Optimus is the code name for their robot. Like that robot is going to be able to do a lot of things in the near future. And I mean, I'm not a doomsday kind of guy, so it doesn't really scare me, but it's like jobs are gonna be replaced. It's inevitable, especially the repetitive stuff. Like you don't need a cleaner, you know. And the thing about someone that's working a general worker's job, you know, like low skilled labor, because the robot's not gonna complain. All you need to do is service it. So the incentive to actually transition to that from like a business standpoint, even the individual standpoint, where like you could make Optimus what you want it to be. You could make it a tutor for your child. You could make it a friend for your child. You could make it a lot of different things. They launched their robo taxi. So that for me is like, I'm thinking Uber, Bolt, Lyft, because it seems like they're very close to achieving full autonomy, you know. And if they achieve full autonomy, then it's just waiting on the regulator side, where it's like, because all they need to prove is that a self-driving car is better than the average human driver. And I've watched quite a few videos, the FSD, of like Tesla owners. I mean, they're obviously sitting by the driver's seat, because that's how it should be right now. You're not allowed to like allow your car to drive itself and you're not by the driver's seat. But it's like they're not controlling the steering wheel and stuff. And it's amazing what the full self-driving technology can do right now. With the robot taxi and the robo van, they don't have steering wheels. They're designed without steering wheels. right? The robo-van is bigger. So it's like a bus, for a sports team, kind of to carry heavy loads and stuff. And I say I'm thinking Uber, Bolt, meaning because it's like, say you own that, right? It takes you to your work, and then you're at work for a few hours in the day. So you could have your car go make you an additional income for a few hours until it's end of day, and then it comes and fetches you. So I'm thinking, like, is there longevity in that space for those companies? Do they end up partnering with a Tesla, or do they just die out eventually?
Nah, I mean, I don't think they will. I think they'll come up with something that kind of makes them
Compete.
agile. Either compete or just collaboration. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see them just seeing
Dying
it like
out.
just dying
Say
out.
they want to
Or
compete.
partnering with just people as well. Just like what you're saying, or like, I'm at work, my car is just like earning income for me or whatever. So now maybe it's like a thing of you don't.
No, but Tesla will have their own platform for that. Like they wouldn't outsource like that's a few lines of code for Tesla. You know, they just build a platform on top. And the thing about it is there's also the data aspect, right? Tesla has the most full self-driving data. So they've got the most data to train the car to self-drive. Uber doesn't have that data. So they can't just decide to launch tomorrow and because they need the data to understand the roads and stuff. So that's why I'm saying it's at face value, it's like they understand the market more, but it's obviously going to be cheaper for a self-driving car. And obviously the implications aren't significant in the African context because like that's not happening in Africa anytime soon. But I'm just saying like in the Western world where that's a bit more advanced. Yeah, so like that's sort of the few main things that I've been tapped into.
Interesting stuff, I think. It's scary though. Like, it's like, imagine if that was to happen like tomorrow. I mean, hypothetically, in Africa,
the robot taxi, he said it's gonna be mass produced.
Imagine that.
Before, like, it's going to go into mass production before the beginning of 2027.
Shucks. That is so close. That is so close. Do you think because of that, like, it is more reason why the universal basic income chat becomes like important? Because
That's definitely part of the reason.
because-
Extreme poverty is
yeah,
a reason, but it's like that's definitely part of the reason because there's going to be a useless class. It's inevitable.
that is okay. From that note, that's so grim, to like a happier note on my end because my goat is back.
Yeah.
Okay, you people clowning us, telling us no. That where was Mick Jenkins? I'm disgusted. I'm appalled as a competitor. He's back. You spoke about it earlier. He dropped, what is it called? Port Antonio.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's not on mainstreaming platforms. It was just on YouTube. At least that's where I found it.
Yeah, Twitter is
And-
where I found it.
Available on the unofficial music platforms, I guess. And for me, like, I think as a J.Cole fan, I was like, yeah, get your lick back. Let him know. And when I listened to the song, I'm not even gonna go into the beef, but I'm just gonna highlight the stuff that I actually liked about what he did with the song, because it was just like, it was a moment for me, right? So obviously he started with the whole J.Cole story. Oh, I grew up a little bit poor, moved, and we were not that bad anymore. And I couldn't identify with the hood anymore because we had moved to like a fancier place. But then on the second part of the song, he started addressing kind of parts of the beef. And he spoke about like the fact, what we spoke about on the Kendrick is Our Savior episode, about how the beef was actually meant to just fuel like like this machine that is working, like the beef in itself was feeding certain people, and the algorithm was set up in a certain way so that those people could capitalize on the beef as much as possible. And he was saying, like, he was addressing that part where
Yeah,
actually
the culture didn't benefit
yeah,
that
we
much.
didn't benefit that much. There's people that are running the show behind, like, we're just like the little puppets running the thing, but like in the backdrop, there's people that are like benefiting so much from this than we are benefiting. So when I looked at it, I was just like, when J.Cole said, when he looked at it, he was just like, nah, I don't want to participate in this anymore. And he also gave the whole, like, a shout out to Drake, saying like, yo, people are saying that I'm taking sides. I'm really not. I like Drake, and he has helped me so much. He's done a lot for me. So he's done that part. And then he also spoke about how, like, had he participated in the thing, he might have probably won the battle, or maybe
But
lost
that's
it,
the
but then
thing. Do you
lost the
think he
brother.
said, you see, he basically was saying, I will get my leg. Like, I would have been able to battle. I don't think he openly said I was going to win. And I think...
No.
I think that's where it was. He also got contorted, because it's like, he didn't necessarily say I was going to win. He said I could have battled these niggas.
I could have battled. But then whoever lost, I wouldn't have lost the battle. I would have lost a brother type of vibe. And that, for me, the whole thing was more significant than, I know, like, rap culture, hip hop culture is like, yo, like, don't care about this guy's
Hip hop historians.
Kill whatever comes your way. But I like, and the reason why J.Cole for me is like a GOAT is like that specifically, that he can call himself to order. Like, yeah, sure, like I'm gonna come out here and unleash whatever I'm unleashing, but at the end of the day, I win nothing. First of all, I'm feeding an entire system that doesn't benefit me. Secondly, like, I'm gonna lose like people that I actually care about in the whole, just trying to please people. And also, like, he said something like, just because you don't use your gun does not mean that the gun is not lethal or it's not dangerous. And it's like, I feel like that's also very, very important, that like self-control and understanding, or like, just because you have the power to do something and you can do something does not mean you should do it. Does not, just because you have the money to like buy the most expensive thing or get the most beautiful woman in the world, or like, get all these, I guess, material stuff, or just do these things when they're in vain, does not mean that you should actually do it. There's a time and a place when like, you kind of have to like call yourself to order, fam.
I'm
like,
still that nigga, even if I don't want to participate.
Right?
Yeah.
And and that speaks to your self-awareness as well. Uri, now your self-awareness is not determined by the fact that you actually used your gun. Maybe it's determined by the fact that you actually know you can, but you decided not to. And I feel like that has more power than just using your gun whenever you feel like it, or just throwing your money whenever the opportunity arrives.
Because, I mean, I genuinely believe you're just better off acting the way you want to act as opposed to how the world wants you to act, because the world isn't going to be on your side when all else fails. For me, I think the one thing that I will say about the whole situation is that no one's rapping at Cole's level.
My goat.
No one's rapping like Cole. Like, let's just...
I
almost tweeted Cole's better objectively, but I was like, okay, that's a stretch. But like, I don't think no one's out rapping Cole right now.
But it's also that thing we were talking about, you're like performing for an audience of one, which is like your God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do it for yourself. Like, do it for your own peace. Do it for your own sake. Don't do it for the rest of us.
So you can live with it, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, even if the whole world is like, fuck you for how you acted, you're still like, I'm fine with it because I did what my heart guided me to do.
Yeah.
And like, just back to that thing, I saw a clip of this kid, he was like...
So I finally decided I don't want to be a chartered accountant. I don't want to be a CASA. And yes, I'm still the same boy who got 100% in accounting in matric.
And the top performing Quintile 1 learner, we have from Gauteng, Blessing Mlambo.
And for almost all my university journey, I was always part of the top 5 in my accounting degree. And yes, I don't want to be a chartered accountant anymore. I don't want to follow the default path. And in this video, I'm going to speak about what led me to making this decision.
He's one of the, like in his matric year, he was one of the top performers in Gauteng. And he went to study accounting at UCT.
Yeah.
And he basically dropped a video talking about how after his honors or CTA, he's not going to continue and pursue the CASA journey. So that was the first video he dropped. And he was basically saying that like he's realized that that's not it for him personally. He wants to go the entrepreneurial route. He doesn't perhaps know what exactly he's going to go into, but he wants to throw himself in the deep end. And he's not interested in like...
I love that.
And so he posted 2 videos, right? So the first one got a bit of backlash because people were like, no, finish what you started so you have something to fall back on.
You know, that double... Yeah.
Something to fall
That
back
double
on.
negative.
And then he published a more recent video where he's speaking about like what you were just saying about like the world will say, do this. And when all else fails, they don't have your back.
Yeah.
And he was making an example of a recent occurrence. Yeah. This girl or boy, I don't know if it's a girl or boy, I think it's a girl that works for one of the top accounting firms. That died.
So that story.
That died. And the firm didn't even involve themselves in terms of like going to the family and like taking accountability for like what happened. And he's like, no one is out here supporting like that girl's family or anything, and they've lost a child, you know. And he's saying the same thing. Where I can follow what you guys are saying, and like, yay, continue because you're smart enough. You're still, you're one of the top students. This is not something that's difficult for you to pursue. You're like a few board exams away from like getting the designation. But it's like, then I'll be doing it for you. And if I get burnt out, none of you are going to be there for me. If I get depressed, none of you are going to be there for me. Yeah.
And also like that journey is yours, right? Like as much as people are going to tell you those things, you are the one that has to wake up every day and go to that job that you don't like or pursue that career you don't like because somebody said that. It begs to that chat that we were talking about, Yori, like the world will shame you for your own principles. Like the world does not agree with your principles. Now they shame you for your principles. And it's the same thing. It's like, now, because I've chosen a different path, it's like you don't agree with it. But if I choose the path that you're advising me to take and it doesn't work out, none of you guys will be there. In fact, some of you guys will be back trolling me. Yeah, actually, there's...
the founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, he always talks about it. I can't remember what he always quotes his grandmother. But basically, she says, Uri, it doesn't get better with time. In that, like, don't not do what you want to do. And he calls it the Deferred Life Plan, where someone is like, hey, let me do this, but like I have a plan. Like, hey, follow my dream, pursue what I want to pursue. And it's like the Deferred Life Plan is a very, very dangerous strategy. Very, very dangerous strategy.
Yeah. It is. And it's like, and you see, like, both paths are difficult. And I think that's a thing that people don't get.
Both paths. It's not like the insured path because you have an insured income. You have an insured route to like competence in that, like, you know, your growth trajectory. If you work this role, this is how you can grow in the company. In as much as there's the certainty, there's the anxiety of taking the certain route. If that's not for someone else, like that's the only thing that makes sense.
That's the thing.
That's what makes sense. But if you're someone that has like a different dream that eats you up, you're gonna suffer, even if you're making that money.
Yeah, and it's also like it takes life out of it, so that nobody talks about like the fact that route in Inakwe that you're using as like your main route can suck so much life out of you that you end up not even going into the deferred route that you're talking about. Like your life could take a weird trajectory in such a way that like the person that you were before you got into this thing is not the same.
Yeah.
And maybe even the stuff that like the resources, maybe mental resources or just like psychological resources that you might have had before are now drained because no Jenna in this path, and now it has taken so much out of you. Not the physical, maybe it has given you the money, maybe it has given you like the material stuff, but
The
like
lifestyle.
but it hasn't given you the creativity. You haven't been exposed to as much as a person who would have started.
You're not
going
fulfilled. You're not content.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, it's like it can be very detrimental. Like it can be very, very detrimental to not follow your dreams.
Yeah.
You know? It's like there's risks in not taking risks.
And I think that like you rob the world of innovation when you do not follow your dreams. Because when people work on things that they are passionate about and they really like, you're more likely to be more innovative, more likely to like just go into like discover a whole new world of, even if it's something that has been around for ages or whatever, you could discover a whole new world of that thing just because that's something you like.
The key to everything in life is knowing what you really truly love, what you were meant to do, why you were born, why you're a different individual. You know, I know it sounds like a cliche, but everybody, your DNA is unique. There's never going to be another Mark Manson. The way your brain is wired, the way your parents raised you, your early experiences, you are unique. And so that is where your power lies. And connecting to that is the source of everything in this world. So if you connect to it, if you know who you are, you know what you love, you know what you were meant to do, and it's not a cliche, it's actually very real, then that persistence will become an actual positive thing in your life because you'll know, I can't keep kicking against a wall here. It's not what I was meant to do. I got to get out.
If you heard the whole, I can't remember, it's like, who came up with the analogy, but like, some people live their life without ever living.
Yes.
And it's like how you're born and then my parents will decide which kindergarten I go to.
Yeah.
See? And then once I'm done with kindergarten, the primary school is like the popular or the primary school that makes the most sense in the town or city or village or township I come from. Then I go to that, right? Nepala, the high school is sort of the same thinking. Oh, this is the best high school that you can go to. You get to the high school, you do well in certain subjects, and it's like, yo, choose these subjects in grade 10 because you're good at them. You choose those subjects. Oh, these are the careers that make sense if you're good at these subjects. Because it's like, think about how all the really smart kids, like the super smart kids do actuarial sciences, like 9 out of 10 of the really, really smart kids, like that come from Limpopo, you just see like, yo, I'm going to study actuarial science. And you ask yourself, is it because that's what you've been told is like the most difficult thing to pursue and it's the route that makes sense given your academics? So is it something that you genuinely like? You know, you could be an A+ student, but like you're into art. It's not wrong. Like use that knowledge, use that smartness in the right path. You know, Yasimbe says, get smart with your smartness.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're smart, so get smart with your smartness.
Cultivate
and then
that.
cool, you go into varsity, you do that, right? And then once you've done that, even in varsity, it's like these are the most prestigious companies in the thing that you're doing. Then you strive for that, right? You get to the company. Yo, this is like the route to competence.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a junior, then you're an intermediate, then you're a senior, and then you achieve that, and then perhaps you retire at 65 and eventually you die. Did you ever tap into like the reality
essence
of like
who you are? And it's like life is such a long thing for you to be tied down a decision when you're in grade 9. Do you understand? You make this decision when you're 14 years old? You're living until 60 with a decision you made at 14 years old. That is a wild thing. We don't talk about how wild that is.
That's why I have so much respect for people that are able to make conscious pivots.
Yeah. My brother's always telling me about jumping. He's like, you gotta jump. At some point, you've got to jump. Because whatever it is that you're following, it's already set. Chances are That's not your talent. Like, I always say this, like, I don't think God created an accountant per se. He created somebody who's good with the certain skills that are required to be an accountant.
Facts.
But he did not create an
But
accountant.
like I knew I wanted to go into investment banking, right? I even knew, like I researched investment banking so much, I even knew the division I wanted to go into. I wanted to go into mergers and acquisitions. But by the time I was in my final year, because I'm such an eclectic person, right?
Yeah.
I had explored enough to know that, you know? And even when I said nah, what I nod to wasn't fully what I'm it became immersed into, but it was sort of the right path I was taking in terms of me listening to what's happening to me internally.
And I think that requires a bigger chat. We like, you remember the startup chat we were having the previous episode about like startups kind of showing the like what's currently happening. And we're like, I was just saying, like, I don't feel like it's a terrible thing, the fact that startups now are reflecting what is currently happening now and not actually think like going into the future and what the future should actually look like. It's the same thing, like if you're a young parent or you're a parent right now, I feel like you shouldn't be pushing the same narrative that was pushed onto you. Like, this is because then you are saying these new kids that are coming up should be the same thing that you and I are. And we're speaking about like AI coming in, robots coming in and taking up jobs. Let these kids do what they want to do, because then they will know
Even
how
what
to survive.
you're claiming is the better
Right?
route. It's not.
It's
How
not.
certain are you?
It could be replaced. It's not like a nurse and a policeman, or like those jobs were like prestigious jobs
At a
back in the
point,
day,
yeah.
right? At a point.
Yeah.
But now they are not as prestigious. You need to be an actuarial scientist, you need to be an accountant, you need to be a doctor. Now, a few years down the line, all these jobs are gonna not be as prestigious as we're making them out to be. However, if that person, whoever that person is following their dreams and they're following what is in their heart, they could be the best in whatever that is. And that could be how they survive in the world. Like skill channel, your gift, whatever it is, healing people or talking or drawing or creating, right? That could be the reason you survive the world. When you came in.
See,
So
the Yara Shahidi clip, actually grateful indebtedness. That's why it's like your ancestors' wildest dreams. Your ancestors fought so much for you to have this freedom.
Yeah.
Are you going to play with it?
Yeah, and just follow the same system that, like, you know what I mean? I think I saw a post somebody was talking about. I don't think, and this could be controversial, but the person was saying they don't think that their ancestors' wildest dreams is them sitting in an office and being constrained.
Can't be.
Because they were like,
It cannot be
my
your
ancestors were constrained to certain spaces and they couldn't do certain things that whenever they wanted, they couldn't move the way they wanted, right? Why would they want to be constrained in an office? Like, why would they want to
It's not. It
like
can't
have a
be.
timetable? They've been having a timetable. Why would they want that to be your own life as well? And I think about that a lot.
You see what I was saying about like how I was thinking about part of my morning routine needs to involve me interacting with the earth. Like my feet must actually touch the grass, touch the ground. And I was thinking about how there is no grass or there is no sand. There's nothing that connects me to except my flower pots around my apartment. But it's like there's nothing that connects me to the earth. The only way I do that is taking maybe perhaps a 40-meter walk to like the poolside, and that's where it's like I get access to grass. And I'm like, do I need to do that
And
every
you're
day?
getting access to what? Grass.
Grass, not even mavu.
Grass.
At home, yes, I can. But I was just thinking, like, how difficult is it for me to just touch grass?
Yeah.
And is
Like-
it not a subset of the capitalist system?
It is. It is. And I think it plays into like you forgetting who you are. You forgetting what you need as a human being, the natural stuff that you would need, that systematic thing of getting you into an apartment, getting stuck there, getting used to 4 walls and not getting outside. It is literally programming you.
You need
You are
thinking independently, like you're
Yes.
alone. When
community.
Msaki's recent interview was so like, she had an interview, and it was so amazing. I like
love Musaki.
conversationalist Musaki because she's such a dope conversationalist. And I don't think she thinks so. It's like you see people that are so natural with like conversations and like you can tell that now, man, it seems like you doubt your conversational prowess. Like she's so great, but she was talking about that, like where it's amazing that you can have your one-on-one therapy sessions, but the best therapy sessions are communal.
Right? Living in communities is literally healing. It has healing powers. Like, I often speak about this with my mom. Like, we have this tradition where if I go home, or if a group of us go home, like, or like a fire outside, and then we'll cook like tripe or something like that, and we'll sit like for a long time just around the fire talking nonsense, like just doing random things as a family, whatever, and just sitting by the fire, like just. And that thing has for me, it has such healing, but like it's so warm.
Dude, community matters so much. Community matters. Like I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan because obviously I got indoctrinated by my dad, right?
Yeah.
I was born into a family where, you're like, I'm Kaizer Chiefs, you're Kaizer Chiefs. But then I spent a couple of years not watching football anymore because, like South African football, that is, and not engaging with Kaizer because they were losing so much and there's team loser and stuff, right? But the gods by my complex, right?
Yeah.
Some Orlando Pirates fans, some Kaizer Chiefs fans, some Sundowns fans. So even just that small talk is what's got me back engaged. Like even just conversations with my dad. Like just the community side of it, in as much as I wasn't tapped in that much, is why I've tapped back in and I'm like watching.
Now,
I'm engaging with South African football again, just for the community aspect. Like just to have that, just so like. When I'm about to take my walk and the God is by the gate and he's like, hey, we cannot go right. We need to introduce VAR. Then we have something to talk about.
Right. But there's so much more. There's so much knowledge with us just generally as Africans. We speak about this a lot. Our knowledge is passed down through conversation, right?
Which has also been super detrimental.
It has been. Because we're not writing down stuff, so people can't read, But also, we need to recognize the reason why that was so important. Because community, you can only, if Mesh is like the best person who knows Miri, your Podza, or whatever, right? And in the community, like you're that guy, right? Even if you don't want to go and talk to Bomshasha, just for the fact that Bomshasha knows this thing and you don't, you're going to have to talk to him. You're going to have to go and have a conversation. You're going to have to walk from your place and go to Bomshasha and have that conversation.
There are situations. I was actually talking about this with my doctor friend at a dinner last week. There are situations where... So someone at the dinner brought up the conversation about like, bro, what do you think about... like traditional medicine.
Yeah.
Because they were it was him and another doctor as well in the dinner table. It's like, what do you think of traditional medicine? And he was just opening up about like, traditional medicine works. Like me as a doctor in the medical field, I don't shun it. I don't look down on it. And then I brought up the fact that like, I was thinking about how I've come across a situation in my life where someone was in a predicament that could only be solved by traditional medicine.
Me too.
And it's so wild.
Me
like,
too.
Those
and
situations
some
where...
situations, it's things that, it wasn't such a big deal. Like, knew what to do. They knew what to do. And I'll speak this from a lady's perspective. There's so many things we suffer from just medicals and like, there's, you can't give birth because you have this condition. You have, you like this and this. And I'm not saying that those conditions do not exist and they're not real. But I'm saying there was something that old ladies were doing back in the day that like allowed them to kind of heal or prevent these things from like happening, right? And even if we can argue, those things were there, they were not as in high numbers as it is now.
So it's dying out.
You know what I'm saying? Those conversations, we're not, and I guess we speak about this sometimes, Uri. I feel like one of the biggest projects or one of the biggest achievements that could come out from this pod would be interviewing, like documenting knowledge about and having conversations with people who know about our history, and they can tell us from whatever field.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
They protect the sacred sites back home, and it's like it's what they're working on is like so much more important than a lot of things we're focused on.
Right. So
like they are protecting our sacred sites. They wake up every day and I was talking to that lady. Like 2 years ago.
Please say the name again because it might not have come out.
I think it's called Zomo Lamupo.
Yeah,
I think it's called Zomo Lamupo. But like she was, I was talking to her, Puruso, who was like recently nominated for an award in that space, right? He's the one that like, actually it was Puruso and Chiridzi.
Okay, yeah.
Chiridzi Rambuani. They were the two people that got me close to her because they knew her personally. And you see why community is also so important. Like just knowing these people from high school, like they connected me with this lady because I'm just curious, you know. But I spoke to her, like we had lengthy conversations, and I was talking to her about sacred sites, right? And she was telling me that there are always students from the Czech Republic, from Norway, that like come and live with her, Vuani. And they're doing research for their PhDs and stuff. And she's like, that doesn't happen with the South African students. I was like, we're so close to this thing. It's so special. But then...
But it goes back to the whole cycle we're
the
talking
only
about.
documentary that's been done on them at the time, maybe, you know, there's more. When I spoke to her was a documentary, China, which only got broadcasted in China, that we have never had access to.
That is wild. That is so wild. And it speaks to like...
So it would be dope for an Untapped, back to what you're saying, to have sort of the production to actually like have a documentary on protecting our sacred sites.
Right.
And featuring someone like that. And they're the executive producer.
Right. I would like to have a chat, like healers, people that know Mishonga, Yechivenda, just to tell me a little bit more about that. One of my older brothers, he got this book, right? And it has, like, Yechivenda, it actually tells you, Rumuriwaso, like, Ushuma, Urbalapamini, and it has a picture. It's black and white, though, but it has certain drawings on there that, like, you can see, this is the kind of tree, this is what it does. And I would like to document things like that, because I feel like as much as we're complaining, Ori, that's not written down, right? Like our history, some of it has been erased, some of it is not there. Whatever is left,
it's on us.
It's on us to document. It's on us to go back to that and to like what you're saying. It's important to pivot. It's important to actively take the steps to go and document, to go and find out. Because if you're living within the circle, you will never do it. You will keep postponing. Next week will become next week. There's a reason why you have only 20 days leave. That's not enough for you to go and explore.
You can't do anything.
You can't do anything. So it's important to actively take time off for this for these initiatives. And if you cannot, support people who are doing it. You understand what I'm saying?
In whatever way you can.
In whatever way you can. If it's monetary, if it's like...
Reach out just to remind them that yo, watch it good.
That, because like it's important. The work that they're doing might be more important than you sending a spreadsheet at the end of the day.
Drops mic. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That report, you are sending it at the end of the day. Those people, they are documenting our kids are going to feed off of that, right? So your report is important. Maybe the JSE depends on it. Like, it's important. But...
look at the Vandana Shivas of this world, right? Like, they've dedicated their lives to fighting big corporates. Like, big corporates. Like, they're going against, like, big corporates. And... that's so honorable, Like when you see people like that dedicating their lives to something bigger than them, that's where it's like when you think about people like that as ancestors, right? It's grateful indebtedness. I have no choice but to make the most out of this little life of mine.
And a lot of the times that requires you to tap into your gift, tap into your natural given talent, because singers and people who are authors who write books and stuff, those people, like, they're doing a work in a mumutu ane, like they're not gifted in that space, cannot do. But it's important, right? Mumutu, they're just natural healers, right? That if you tap into your gift, you're a healer in whatever way, shape, or form that you heal. Tap into that. You're taking us a little bit further than what we were before. Sorry, you get stuck on this
loop.
And all of us just get on this loop and we run around, and also it's important to know where are we for us to
know where we're going. Yeah.
That is important to determine the direction in Irayakayo, because if we don't know where we come from, it's important. There's a reason why your parents, or at least I'll speak for my parents, and we had conversation, I know your parents did as well. It's important. There's a reason why they kept emphasizing, telling you who you are, depositing certain things into you that make you trust yourself, that understand like what are we known for, what are we good at. There's a reason why they did that. It's because nobody else can tell you otherwise.
Yeah, but then you also know your greatness.
Yeah,
you
get it.
Like understanding where my granddad struggles and him telling me about his my great-granddad struggles and stuff like that. It's like, oh, my great-grandmother's struggles from the perspective of my grandmother. So important, because then you know who you are.
Yeah.
Like you can't walk in, like you could be cancelled by 1 million people on Twitter, but you know yourself. So it's like, talk to yourself. Yeah, you perform.
One.
Yeah.
Right.
If you know yourself, then it's like it's so much easier to just perform for God.
Yo, man, we are literally going to like
on the brink of messing up. So yeah, what's that question?
Gosh, there's so many things that we didn't tap into, but okay, we'll speak about these things a different time. I have a question for this week. And it goes like this. I don't think it's a difficult one, but maybe it actually feeds into the conversation that we're having, because the question is, do you think that your name has an influence on who you become?
Major influence. Everything has a bearing on who I become. Like, yeah, when I was born, my parents, my name, even who I was named after. If I was named after someone else, has a significance. Maybe it's not literally the only thing that influences, but it does have a bearing. I do genuinely believe it does have a bearing on your life.
I'm asking those questions, because people call me Maureen, and I've been called Maureen my entire life. Like, my parents, I'm literally the only person, Ayano no Shumisa, an English name.
Yeah.
Everybody else uses their vendor name. And I've always struggled because, when I introduce myself to people... Have I ever called
you Pinduro?
Huh?
I've never.
No.
I've never,
no. But it's like, when I introduce to people, I don't blame people, because when I introduce myself to people, I say my name is Maureen, because that's the name that I've used my entire life. And... I've asked questions, where does this name come from? And my dad has explained to me, this is what was happening at the time. And he named me after somebody, and it's a whole thing. But I have a liking to my vendor name. Pindulo. Answer. Like, the answer. And I feel like using the name Maureen, right? Like, it has a meaning and it has a story. Like, a really good story, by the way. But I feel like Zinalangala Chivenda, it speaks to so much of what I want to become in the world.
An answer.
A solution. You get me? And I was wondering, Uri, like, if somebody else or other people feel like that. Because whenever people Nrambi or like some names are just like
Derogatory.
and then
And the Baba who got the you've been told that you've ended Uri, like perhaps something bad was happening. Adam Trakopi Mubango, for example, was at a time when Huna Mibango, like there were fights in the family. So that's why they were named Mubango. So it does have a bearing. I remember like on Phases and Cycles, H was like Ndiahango Ndiwa Mashudu. Which is his name is not Mashudu. It's like a quadruple entendre if you know, because his dad's name is Mashudu.
Oh,
so he forgets that. Like it can be him forgetting he's Mashudu's son, but like that's not what he was saying. Maybe wa Mashudu in the sense you're like I am someone who is consistently gets opportunities that you could say I'm lucky.
Yeah.
So I am exposed to greatness, but sometimes I downplay it. So yeah, there's so much with it's such a loaded thing. So yeah, even that, like when he was saying and I'm like, Ndiwa Mashudu, you know, like I forget.
You forget. Like
Ndiwa
I
Mashudu.
forget that I'm an answer. I'm a solution. And the reason why people keep asking me questions or problems keep coming my way in certain situations is because you are the solution, my dog. You are the answer, my dog. And you gotta come with the answer.
Yeah.
So like I think that's
I ain't got the answer, Sway.
but he actually didn't because no say. But I actually like I would like to put this on the like untapped community to kind of just think about that. Like you think about your name, ask questions about your name, ask questions about what was happening, and then try and understand how that feeds into your current and how that might feed into your future.
Yeah, your being.
Otherwise, it is peace out for the
Peace out for the peace out. Yeah, we out.
We're out, guys.